I wanted more than to just be a farmer's daughter. I just wanted pretty things. I wanted money to buy the things that I had always been impressed with as a child.
Who do you think you are making fun of this man? I wasn't making fun of him. I was making fun with him.
They were the glittering rebels of rhinestone country. Women who weren't just singers. They were storms wrapped in sequins. Behind every chart-topping hit, every televised smile, every curtain call, soaked in applause, there was a fire burning. Affairs, whispers, shattered glass hearts, and choices that made even the toughest cowboys blush. In this video, we're diving headfirst into the stories they tried to bury. The 21 most controversial, intoxicating, and misunderstood women in classic country music. These aren't your grandma's country legends. These are the firebrands who broke the rules, rewrote the lyrics of what a woman could be, and danced through the ashes of their reputations. This is not the side of country music you'll find on the CMI stage. This is raw. This is real. This is the truth, and you won't believe who's on this list.
My mama socked it to the Harper Valley PTA.
Before she even sang a note, Jeannie C. Riley's boots and miniskirt had already started a revolution. She looked like sin wrapped in a hymn, hair teased to the heavens, eyes lined like a movie star, and legs that made entire church choirs lose focus. And then she sang Harper Valley PTA. She didn't just call out hypocrisy, she named names. She exposed every affair, every lie, every secret stashed behind the church bulletin. And she did it all with a smile so bright it could light a fire under every self-righteous seat in the house. People were scandalized, outraged, obsessed. They said she dressed too sexy, talked too loud, sang too truthfully. But Jeannie didn't flinch. While they whispered behind closed doors, she was climbing charts and hotel balconies. Her phone lit up at night with calls she'd never admit to. Her fan letters read more like confessions. Preachers preached about her, but their wives watched her, wondering if their husbands were humming her tune a little too fondly. Jeannie didn't ask for controversy. She was controversy, and she wore it like stilettos.
I never promised you a rose garden along with the sunshine.
She gave the world Rose Garden, but Lynn Anderson didn't live in one. Beneath the glamour, the stage lights, and the sparkling gowns was a woman who burned with ambition, and often with heartbreak. Lynn rose fast. She had the look, the voice, the confidence. But fame isn't a straight line, and neither was her life. Her marriage to songwriter Glenn Sutton was as stormy as it was creative. They collaborated on Hit, and clashed behind closed doors. When the marriage ended, so did the illusion of a perfect country couple. After the split, whispers started swirling. About her fiery temper, about her drinking, about lovers who came and went as quickly as her chart toppers. In the 1980s and early 2000s, her name appeared in the wrong kind of headlines. Multiple arrests, erratic behavior, moments that felt like cries for help disguised as defiance. But through it all, Lynn stayed Lynn. Dazzling, complicated. A woman who could walk on stage with her life falling apart and still deliver a performance that made grown men cry. She didn't apologize for her scars. She wore them, like sequins.
I got your old lady too.
Margot Smith didn't just age. She detonated every rule about what aging women were supposed to be in country music. Born in 1942, Margot began her career with a soprano so clean and proper, it could soothe a storm. Her early songs like There I Said It and Take My Breath Away made her a sweetheart of the industry. Safe, sweet, soft. Then came 1979. Like a phoenix in a floor-length gown, Margot emerged with a new look, a new voice, and a message that made the entire Nashville scene clutch their pearls. She chopped her hair, slipped into slinky dresses, and dropped a lyrical bombshell called Still a Woman. Still a woman who needs a little love sometimes. That one line hit the industry like a scandal grenade. How dare a woman over 35 sing about desire? About longing? About still wanting? Critics scrambled. Was she desperate? Was she brave? Was she crazy? The truth. She was honest. Margot didn't need a scandal just by existing. Out loud, in heels, with a heartbeat and hunger, she became a threat. There were no affairs, no cheating headlines, no mistresses or secret hotel rooms. Her rebellion was bigger. She demanded to be seen when the industry had already written her off. And in doing so, she cracked the ceiling for every woman who dared to live past 40 with fire in her heart. Dolly Parton is the glitter-drenched paradox that country music never saw coming and still can't fully explain. She played the dumb blonde, but behind the giggle was a mind sharper than a steel guitar string. With that hourglass figure and voice as sweet as honeysuckle, she drew attention wherever she went. But the moment they underestimated her, she had already outwritten, outworked, and outsmarted every man in the room. She gave us Jolene, 9 to 5, and I Will Always Love You. She gave us fashion, fantasy, and freedom. She married Carl Dean, a man who stayed out of the spotlight as fiercely as she stood in it. Their marriage? Famously private. But the rumors? Loud. Whispers of affairs with co-stars? Secret heartbreaks. Tabloid speculation? And yet, Dolly never took the bait. She never confirmed, never denied, just smiled, dropped another $1 million lyric, and kept walking. Behind the wigs and rhinestones was a business mogul, a philanthropist, a songwriting genius, a woman who funded childhood literacy, broke chart records, and never once let the gossip write her story. Dolly Parton wasn't promiscuous. She was powerful. And she used every inch of the spotlight to build something no scandal could ever tear down. A legacy.
After midnight, searching for you.
Patsy Cline was a wildfire in a world that wanted her to be a houseplant. She didn't ask permission. She kicked down doors in high heels and left trails of lipstick and longing wherever she went. When she sang Crazy, it wasn't just heartbreak. It was confession. It was every chaotic decision, every lover she shouldn't have touched, every midnight she didn't regret. She had lovers. Plural. She didn't chase them. She let them orbit, and when they couldn't handle her gravity, she let them burn. Patsy wasn't messy because she was reckless. She was messy because she was alive. Fully. Fiercely. Fearlessly. She smoked. She drank. She cursed like a sailor and sang like a siren. And still somehow she made the ladies of Nashville both terrified and obsessed. Behind the scenes, she cried. She laughed. She tore through men and music with the same unrelenting passion. She didn't need to be promiscuous to be provocative. She was Patsy. That was enough.
Your pain and your hunger are driving you home.
Linda Ronstadt didn't just bend the rules. She obliterated them with a wink and a high note. She was the California wildflower that Nashville never saw coming. With a voice that could soar, seduce, or slice through steel, Linda moved between genres like lovers, country, rock, pop, mariachi, and made every one of them beg for more. And she didn't just break musical barriers, she broke hearts, lots of them. Behind the velvet voice was a woman who loved hard, lived loud, and refused to apologize for any of it. She dated men who made headlines. George Lucas, Jim Carrey, Jerry Brown. She wasn't interested in settling down. She was too busy burning her own trail through a man's world. The press called her wild, difficult, dangerous. Translation, she didn't let anyone control her. Her stage presence was pure power, barefoot, fearless, and dripping with unspoken tension. She didn't need to wear sequins to shine. She sang like she knew your secrets, and maybe she did. When she posed on a bed in a silky negligee for the cover of Rolling Stone, country critics gasped. But Linda? She just smiled because she'd already sold millions. She wasn't promiscuous. She was uncontainable. Linda Ronstadt wasn't chasing fame. Fame was trying to keep up.
I could see the gold before the gold was found.
Connie Smith had a voice that could make angels weep. She didn't need sequins or scandals. Just a microphone and a memory. She sang like heaven was trapped in her throat. And yet, behind that ethereal sound was a woman scarred by love. Connie married young, divorced young, loved hard, lost harder. Her pain didn't make headlines. It seeped into every note. She didn't flaunt affairs or parade heartbreak, but listen closely and you'd hear it. The ache of disappointment, the residue of lovers who couldn't stay. Then came Marty Stewart, a man decades her junior who once admired her as a boy backstage. When he said he'd marry her one day, people laughed. They weren't laughing when he did. The world called it shocking. She called it destiny. Connie Smith proved you don't have to scandalize to stir the soul. You just have to feel more deeply than most people dare to. And she did. Every single time.
'Cause I was country when country wasn't cool.
Barbara Mandrell was the country music version of a magician. She could make audiences see what they wanted to see and hide what they feared. To millions, she was the good girl, the multi-instrumental genius, the dazzling TV host, the church-going beauty queen in sparkles. But on stage, she transformed. She moved like a woman who knew exactly what she was doing. Body-hugging dresses, a look that lingered, a microphone held just a little too close, and then there was sleeping single in a double bed. Not just a song, a tease, a sultry, slow dance of suggestion, a melodic wink. She made middle America sweat. But here's the kicker. She never crossed the line. She never needed a tabloid scandal. She was the scandal, perfectly contained within the fantasy she created. She was everything people claim to want from a woman, until she gave it to them with just a little too much confidence. Then they didn't know what to do with her. Barbara Mandrell didn't play by the rules. She wrote her own script, and delivered it in heels, pearls, and a knowing smile.
When you might be better off alone.
Tanya Tucker didn't tiptoe into fame. She blasted through the gates at 13 with Delta Dawn and never looked back. By 15, she was dating Glenn Campbell. And that was just the beginning. Tanya lived fast, loved loud, and left a trail of broken rules in her glittered wake. She sang, "Would You Lay With Me in a Field of Stone," like she knew what she was asking, and the world gasped. She wore leather like armor, walked into bars like she owned them, and if she wanted something or someone, she went after it without blinking. Tanya Tucker wasn't a good girl. She was a real girl, with scars and sass and songs that made the Grand Ole Opry blush.
Been so blue, don't know what's come over you.
Crystal Gayle didn't need to scream to seduce. She whispered. She glided. She let her impossibly long hair sweep the floor while her voice slipped under your skin like silk. Her music was smooth, but her impact, thunderous. Talking in Your Sleep wasn't just a hit. It was a question mark. Who was she singing to? Who was sneaking around in the dark? And how did she make Suspicion sound so sexy? She was Loretta Lynn's sister, but she wasn't walking anyone's path but her own. Where Loretta was grit and fire, Crystal was mystery and moonlight. No public scandals, no affairs caught in headlights. But the rumors? Oh, they whispered. Of industry men drawn to her. Of late nights and long looks and moments that lingered longer than they should have. Crystal never confirmed anything, but she didn't kill the fantasy either. She just turned her head, let her hair cascade like a curtain, and disappeared before anyone could follow.
That has caused many a good girl to go wrong.
Kitty Wells didn't wear scandal like a badge. She carried revolution in her pocket. In 1952, she released It Wasn't God Who Made Honky Tonk Angels, and country music would never be the same. Before Kitty, women in country were expected to harmonize, not headline. They were supposed to smile sweetly, sing about heartbreak, and never question the system. But Kitty's song was a slap in the face to hypocrisy. It called out men who blamed women for their own sins. It told the truth, softly, sweetly, but with razor-sharp accuracy. There were no affairs, no scandals. Kitty didn't need them. Her rebellion was in her restraint. She wore modest dresses. She rarely gave interviews. But behind that calm exterior was a woman who dared to speak when the world wanted her silent. And because of her, every woman who came after had a path to walk. Kitty Wells didn't kick down the doors. She quietly unlocked them and walked right through.
Over and over again, you're a foolhardy man.
Dottie West didn't enter a room. She entered your bloodstream. With sequins catching every glint of light and strawberry blonde hair cascading like a golden rebellion, Dottie was the kind of woman you didn't forget, even if you wanted to. She sang of love like a woman who had broken every rule and had the lipstick-stained collars to prove it. Her voice wasn't just beautiful, it was lived in. Worn from nights that ended in tears and mornings that started with regret. When she sang A Lesson in Leavin', people thought it was just a breakup song. But those who knew her knew better. She'd lived it, felt it, caused it. Rumors followed her everywhere. Too many lovers, too many failed marriages, too many nights when her car was parked where it shouldn't have been. But Dottie didn't hide. She didn't explain. She wore her heartbreaks like high fashion and dared the world to say something. She expected to be loved. And when they couldn't handle the fire she brought, she watched them burn with grace. Dottie West was country music's Aphrodite. Irresistible, tragic, unforgettable.
I'm living in a cold gray world, hearing crying in the night.
Before country was ready for it, Wanda Jackson was doing it. In the 1950s, when women were supposed to sing sweet and smile quietly, Wanda grabbed a mic and set it on fire. She toured with Elvis, dated him, wore fringe and fishnets. She growled into the mic and shook her hips like the rules didn't apply, because to Wanda, they didn't. Her song, Let's Have a Party, was more than an invitation. It was a declaration of war on respectability. Backstage, the stories followed. Late nights, long rides, glances that said more than any interview ever could. Wanda didn't defend, didn't apologize. Her laugh said it all. I know things you don't. She was rock and roll in a country corset, and she never asked for permission to be unforgettable.
Like what you gonna do about the young boys and the girls?
Before she became Mrs. Johnny Cash, June Carter Cash was already royalty, born into the Carter family dynasty and raised with music in her veins and rebellion in her smile. She was funny, smart, flirtatious, but she was also deeply spiritual, fiercely loyal, and complicated in a way the tabloids never understood. Her chemistry with Johnny Cash was undeniable. Audiences saw it. Bandmates whispered about it, but their love didn't come easy. They were both married, both tangled in messy relationships, and still they gravitated toward each other like twin comets on a collision course. When he proposed live on stage in 1968, it was a moment of legend, but it came after years of pain, temptation, and an affair the world refused to forget. June had been married twice before. She was no stranger to heartbreak, but with Johnny she found her equal, another soul who burned too bright for ordinary love. Together they were fire and gasoline, chaos and calm, love and war. June didn't flaunt her sexuality. She didn't need to. It was there in every lyric, every laugh, every glance across the stage. She was a woman who loved deeply, even when it hurt. And through it all, she kept her dignity and her power.
With no dreams to dream and nothing to be sorry for.
Barbara Fairchild looked like an angel. Sounded like one too. But behind that porcelain face and lullaby soft voice was a woman who'd seen and survived fire. When she sang the Teddy Bear song, it wasn't just about pain. It was about escape. A desperate wish to turn back into something innocent. Something untouched by love, lust, or lies. Because Barbara knew heartbreak, she wore it. The rumors around her weren't loud. They were whispered. Late-night calls. Rendezvous in borrowed cars. Letters from men who never signed their names. Barbara never confirmed them. She didn't need to. Her voice cracked just slightly at the right moments. Her smile faltered when the wrong questions were asked. She had the gift of making you feel what she wouldn't say. On stage, she was sweetness personified. But off stage, there was a storm behind those eyes, and a storm she sang through night after night. And the audience? They felt it in their bones.
To find her a good old slow-talking country boy. I said a country boy.
Loretta Lynn didn't just sing about womanhood. She fought for it. Married at 15, 4 kids before she ever held a microphone. And when she did, she used it like a sword. Don't come home a-drinkin'. Fist City. The Pill. Every song was a battle cry. She didn't sing around the issue, she named it. She didn't allude, she accused. Her marriage to Doolittle Lynn was famously toxic. But Loretta didn't run. She turned the chaos into platinum records. She wasn't promiscuous, she was powerful, honest, relentless. And in a time when women were supposed to shut up and smile, Loretta Lynn made the whole world listen.
Lay the blanket on the ground.
Billie Joe Spears didn't walk on stage. She glided, and when she opened her mouth, the room fell silent. Her voice was textured, not polished. It didn't beg for attention, it commanded it. With Blanket on the Ground, she didn't just ask for love. She dared married couples to rediscover desire. She wasn't singing about young, breathless passion. She was singing about seasoned, deep, sweaty love. The kind of love that church bulletins don't talk about. Offstage, her name fluttered through dressing rooms like perfume. They said she had a man in every city, that she liked to stare too long, that her dresses left little to the imagination. She never denied it. She didn't have to, because every time she leaned into that mic, she told you a story that made your skin tingle. She made you want to pull the curtains, dim the lights, and remember what it meant to want. Billie Joe Spears was proof that country music could be sensual, and that women didn't have to whisper to be heard. She sang, and the world leaned in.
Mama dabbed a little bit of perfume on my neck and she kissed my cheek.
Bobby Gentry didn't just perform songs, she cast spells. When she stepped onto the scene with Ode to Billie Joe, she had audiences everywhere holding their breath. Her voice was like velvet soaked in secrets, and her lyrics, cryptic enough to make even the most seasoned journalists lose sleep. She didn't perform, she haunted. She sang like she was whispering in your ear from a place you weren't supposed to go. She never smiled too long, never revealed too much. And every line she sang carried the weight of something unspoken. Who was Billie Joe? Why did he jump? What did she throw off that bridge? Bobby never told, but it wasn't just the songs. It was the way she moved through a room, hips swaying in that black pencil skirt, guitar slung over her shoulder like a weapon. She was half Southern Belle, half caution sign. Backstage, men followed her like shadows, hoping for a lyric, a glance, a night. And when they left her room, they didn't speak. Not because they were ashamed, but because they were changed. Then came Fancy, a confession dressed as empowerment, a survivor's anthem wrapped in satin and smoke. Bobby Gentry disappeared just as suddenly as she arrived. No scandals, no goodbye tour, no farewell album. She simply vanished. And what she left behind? A trail of unanswered questions and songs that still send shivers down your spine. Bobby didn't need controversy to be dangerous. Her silence was her sharpest weapon.
My eyes go dim.
She was the first lady of country music. But behind the poised image, Tammy Wynette was a hurricane in heels. When she sang Stand By Your Man, people thought it was a love letter. But listen closely. It was a confession, a prayer, a desperate plea from someone who knew what it meant to love someone who didn't love you right. Tammy didn't just sing about pain, she lived it. Again and again. Her marriages were legendary, and not in the fairy tale sense. She married 5 times. Some say it was love, others say it was survival. She forgave the unforgivable, clung to chaos, lit candles for men who blew them out and walked away. Backstage, she smoked nervously, laughed a little too loud, and in those moments between sets, you could see it. The ghost of a girl who had once believed in happy endings and kept trying to find one. Tammy turned bruises into ballads. She cried through verses that sounded like lullabies and sang about pain like it was a place she knew all too well. They called her emotional. They called her fragile. But what she really was real.
My eyes eyes are no blue.
Jessie Coulter walked into every room like she already knew your secrets and chose not to ruin you. She didn't shout. She didn't seduce. She simply existed, and men lost their minds. With eyes like storms and a voice dipped in smoke and sorrow, Jessie didn't ask for attention. She commanded it. She stood beside the outlaw legends, Waylon Jennings, Willie Nelson, Johnny Cash, and never shrank, not once. She wasn't just someone's wife. She was the force they feared and the muse they needed. Her voice wasn't pleading for love. It was daring you to survive hers. Men followed her, wrote songs about her, tried to tame her. But Jessie Coulter couldn't be caged. Behind her eyes were stories of hotel rooms and lingering glances, of nights blurred by passion and regret. But Jessie never spilled. She left breadcrumbs in her lyrics and disappeared into the mist. She was soft where she wanted to be, fierce where she needed to be, and unforgettable in every way.
It'd stick up for me if I were a boy.
Reba didn't just rise to fame. She erupted like wildfire on a dry Oklahoma plain. With that unmistakable voice, red curls bouncing like a flame, and eyes that knew too much, she stormed into country music like she had something to prove. And she did. From the very beginning, Reba made it clear she wasn't here to play nice. She was here to feel. And her songs? They cut like broken glass wrapped in velvet. Whoever's in New England was more than a ballad. It was a direct hit to every cheating husband and every wife left behind, staring at a cold dinner and an empty bed. Then came For My Broken Heart, a full-length heartbreak opera that turned personal tragedy into a masterclass in emotional storytelling. But Reba didn't just sing about pain. She lived it. After 2 decades of marriage to Narvel Blackstock, a man who had been her manager, partner, and seemingly her rock, Reba shocked the world with their divorce. The split wasn't messy in the press, but you could feel the earthquake underneath. Fans speculated. Had he cheated? Was there a younger woman? Or had Reba simply outgrown the man who helped build her empire? She never gave the full story. She didn't need to. Instead, she put on a stunning dress, stepped into a stadium, and belted out ballads that made your chest ache. Behind the glamour and precision, there was always a pulse of real hurt. Of a woman who had given her all and got back half. And let's not forget, She Thinks His Name Was John, a groundbreaking ballad about a woman who contracts HIV from a one-night stand. No one in country dared touch that subject until Reba. She did it with grace, pain, and dignity, and forced an entire genre to look itself in the mirror. Reba McEntire didn't shock people with affairs. She shocked them with honesty, with the way she made vulnerability look like armor and sorrow look like strength. She didn't burn bridges. She walked over them, in heels, head held high, dragging a spotlight behind her. Now that you've heard them all, who do you think was truly promiscuous? Who was punished just for being powerful? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want more stories that country music tried to hide, like, share, and subscribe. Because next time, we're going even deeper. You think this was wild? Just wait. And if you want to learn more about country music legends who ended their career in poverty, click on the video you see on screen.